Hey, guys, welcome to Paradox of Losing Cycle, and we're gonna be talking about the detrimental losing cycle in gambling in this video. This is to summarize our three videos in terms of part one, two, and three that we have recorded previously in our channel, and and we will try to summarize the whole thing in this video in order to make it easier to understand. So let's get started. Um, as part of the detrimental losing cycle, um, we talked about the MPL within the context of what happens, when you receive a paycheck on a monthly basis. So if we talk about, on a typical economic behavior when you are not gambling. So let's say you're not gambling at all, and you have a pretty straightforward financial system running, and you're receiving a paycheck on a monthly basis. And from the paycheck, you are allocating some of your monthly paycheck as a percentage to your saving, which is MPS, and to your consumption, which is MPC. So let's say you're allocating 20% to your savings and 80% to consumptions. I mean, this percentages can vary from individual to individual. It could be less or more. It could be 5% saving and 95% consumption, or it could be 50% saving or 50% consumption. Obviously, the higher the saving, the better planning into the future, where you have better planning for your retirement. And if you don't have saving, then you are basically, living paycheck to paycheck, where you are consuming most of your paycheck on a monthly basis. Um, as a term, MPS stands for marginal propensity to save, which is a percentage of saving from your paycheck on a monthly basis. And the MPC is a marginal propensity to consume. So it's basically it's a percentage of consumption from your paycheck on a monthly basis. Typically, what goes under MPC is you'll be paying rent, paying utility bills, phone bills, mortgages, and you may be paying child school fees, grocery, credit card bills, etc. Under MPS, you might be saving money in fixed deposits or stocks portfolio, real estate investment, or savings account, etc. So this is a typical financial structure where you'll be allocating your paycheck to your savings and MPC. Now, once you introduce a gambling behavior, uh, typically a gambling activity is not considered a monthly consumption. It's an extraordinary activity and is considered to be a separate expenditure altogether. And then now we will go into it to describe exactly how MPL is introduced and how MPL can destroy this healthy financial structure. So now um, you have developed, let's say, a gambling activity. MPL will show up, and it's termed as marginal propensity to lose. So what it means is that it's a percentage of losses. Typically, it takes uh, the money out of your paycheck on a monthly basis. So now you get a monthly paycheck and you are allocating 100% of your monthly paycheck into this box of MPL. This box is called the gambling box. So basically, you decided to gamble this money in order to make it fungible, meaning that you want to increase your paycheck two times or higher so that you can pay off your expenditures, as well as you have more money to save, and also create an extra money to continue gambling as well. So you have an ambitious and exciting target here, so that so you just you are motivated. Suddenly you got motivated in order to multiply this monthly paycheck, and you want to realize some further gains. So what's going to happen here is that something else happens from a regular activity. So what's going to happen here is that your MPS suddenly is going to go down, and your MPC will start going up. Okay, your NPS 0%, NPC suddenly goes higher than 100%. So what it means is that as you go on, as you continue with gambling activity, you're going to be you're going to have you don't have you're not going to have much money left to save, and on the contrary, on your NPC basically, because you're going to miss out on the payment, on the rent payments and credit card bills and phone bills, your expenditures is going to rise over time. So this is really a shitty situation to be in, to be honest. So basically, that's what's going to happen. Okay, once you introduce NPL, you have no money to save, and you're going to be increasing your expenditure budget until you become unsustainable. Further, as you continue gambling, something else show up. Your debt shows up, and you're going to deplete other savings as well. So you're doing this because you need that debt and other savings in order to finance your NPL. So basically, since you have depleted your paycheck now you are chasing your losses and you are raising more debt on your credit card, and you might be taking loans, and you might be stealing, or you might be asking or borrowing money from the others, and you might be selling your car, your house, your watch, your whatever. I mean, any type of assets that you might have, you might be selling them in order to finance your NPL, which is the gambling box. Okay, so um, so that's your debt over time is going to go up, and your assets and savings going to deplete, going to vanish until bankruptcy. That's what's going to happen since you have introduced NPL into your system, and that's the gambling box. So let's further describe, what is happening here. Why NPL is doing this. Why the marginal propensity to lose in your gambling behavior doing this. Okay, complete disruption in your financials. So let's get into the next slide, and then we will describe exactly how NPL behaves while you're gambling. So the losing cycle diagram has this graph. The x-axis is time frame, and the y-axis is the cash flow. So once you start gambling, there will be ups and downs. Okay, now this is called the NPL curve. Okay, there will be ups and downs because your gains and losses, gains and losses. So basically, you're betting here. As time passes by and you are betting, there are ups and downs. But the overall, on a cumulative effect, the ups and downs is resulting into incremental loss. That's why we call it marginal propensity to lose. Your marginal propensity to lose is basically causing an incremental loss over time, despite the fact that you are going up and down. So basically, if you're in a slot machine, you will see a lot of volatility, right? You will see some gains, some losses, some gains, some losses, some gains, some losses. As you spend your time on slot machine or sports betting or blackjack or baccarat table or poker, this is exactly the same curve. There are gains and losses, but overall, the cumulative effect is pushing your cash flow down. It's never pushing your cash flow up on a consistent basis. It's always pushing your cash flow down. So basically, that's why it's called a detrimental losing cycle, and that's the NPL curve. Okay. Um, so further to describe this, so let's say from time one to time two, okay, as you are spending longer on gambling, as time passes by, your cash flow is going down. It's from C1 to C2, from C1 to C2. Okay, this is where you started, perhaps, and this is where you ended. But it's not going to be ended here because you're going to continue betting. By the way, okay, and this is just an example here. So it's an example of between a time frame. Your cash flow have depleted. Let's say from $1,000 to $500. So your loss is $500 here. So since your cash flow is declining over the NPL curve, so as you're basically you are betting up and down, and you realize depletion of your cash flow, you're now in anticipation of a big win. You are desperately waiting for a win to save you from this situation. So what's going to happen here is that, let's say a spike shows up. Okay, a spike shows up here. We call it S1 or spike one, and that's your first win. Okay, or loss. I mean, a spike basically is either it's going to take you down to ruin or it's going to take you up. Okay, so a spike is completely a random situation where basically it can ruin you or it can take you higher. In case, let's say, hypothetically, let's say, you had a spike on this MPL curve, you were sitting at a loss here, your cash flow depleted from 1,000 to $500, and suddenly you had a spike, and hypothetically, let's say it was a win. So what's going to happen here if you win on this spike, the MPL curve gets shifted upward. Okay, so because of the spike and you won, and you are now sitting at a peak here. Okay, but now despite the peak, you decided to continue betting. Because you continued betting, again you are facing an incremental loss, because the moment you continue betting, you will face an incremental loss on a continuous basis, pushing your cash flow further down. So as you are betting, you are facing an incremental loss. You are now what? Chasing the peak. So because you were sitting on a peak, suddenly you realized further losses, and then what's going to happen now? You're going to increase your bet size. So here the volatility will be much higher. So volatility here is lower on the MPL1. But since you had a shift in the in the curve due to a significant win, and you are sitting on a higher cash flow, okay, now and since you're continuously betting, your bet size is now is bigger because now you're relieved from the S1 spike. Now you are thinking that, hey, I'm in a good situation right now, I'm good to go, and you will be increasing your bet size marginally. uh, so as you increase your bet size on this curve, you're expecting this spike to show up, to show up again. So basically now again it's up and down, and your bet sizes are increasing as well as your loss sizes. And since the incrementally, you are losing uh, bigger than this curve. Okay, so your losses is bigger, and your cash flow is, you started this curve in a bigger cash flow as well because of this win. So now you're expecting a much bigger spike to come up, okay? And you're getting now desperate for another spike to come at any time. And let's suppose it comes, the spike comes, you won. It can take you to complete ruin, or it can take you up to MPL3 curve. Okay, so now, and then it just repeats. And this is the model that on gambling and all kinds of gambling. Okay, it happens the same way. And then again, you are betting on a much higher level. Your bet sizes are much higher, and the volatility is much higher. Your incremental loss is higher, and you are expecting a much bigger spike, and it shows up. It This one might be your complete ruin, or it can take you higher. So the idea is that gambling is a losing cycle, and what are you really betting on is in the anticipation of this spikes, and each bet is uncertain. Is basically it's an uncertain outcome, and uncertainties are driving you to continue betting without stop, and and also the spikes are uncertain as well. And then in anticipation of the spikes, basically, you are further betting without a stop. Even when the spike comes, you are chasing the peaks and chasing the wins, and you're going to continue betting again. The volatility here, basically, you started in a grinding, in a small volatility, and then here the volatility increases, your bet sizes increases, and then all of a sudden, you might face a ruin at any level at any time without any warning. And then you might then wish that you had quit here or here or here. You say, okay, if I had quit, let's say on this spike, I would have kept this profit. It would have been much better. Or if you had won this spike and you are here, and then you have faced a ruin here, you might think, well, I should have stopped playing on this peak and kept the profit. And but it's not going to happen, because in gambling, you are betting on a non-stop fashion. At each spike, at each peak, you're going to continue betting, and therefore your incremental loss is continuously pushing downward. So, it's useless to think that I should have stopped here. The meaning of stopping at any point of time when there is a peak, and then you decided to stop, actually, you should stop as you need to seize the time, meaning that you should stop completely without returning into gambling in order to become a winner, which is not going to happen. As long as you're coming back, the incremental loss will start pushing it down, and your frustration is going to go up, and your bet sizes is going to go up, and you're going to be facing a ruin at any time. So, if in one condition, that if you stopped, your gambling activity after this peak or at this peak, without returning back to the gambling table, then we could say that you won. But that's not going to happen, right? So this is the losing cycle. This is how the MPL works, and I hope that the MPL and the losing cycle uh, is clear in terms of what it does to your financials. And I hope that this video was helpful, and we will be producing more videos in terms of describing mathematically what's going on in terms of the gambling activity, and what are the solutions that you guys can create for yourself in order to manage your gambling activity without going into a ruin. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully we will see you again in other videos. And please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and press the like button, as it will show that that you have liked our video, and we will continue producing more videos like this. Cheers, guys.